proceedings at this time. We never know how long it's going to take because there are stories that must be told, some of which you can write down, some of which you can repeat, but others you are sworn to secrecy to keep because there might not be even a great modicum of truth in them. But nonetheless, we'll share them, we'll enjoy them. At this time, we are going to do something serious. I want to call on Wayne Lane for our invocation, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for your great goodness. Thank you for this occasion. We can recognize these who have, through their achievement, brought honor to themselves and to this institution. And thank you for all that we've learned in previous years, what they've meant to this college. We thank you for the institution, for those that lead it. Thank you for the life-changing impact it has had on each many lives. We pray now that you'll bless us as we continue this on this occasion. And ask that you'll bless the food or which we're about to partake. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce the President of Northwestern, Dr. Janet Cunningham.
From the sound of the buzz in the room before we sat down, it sounds like people are having a really good time. I was beginning to wonder if we'd be able to get everybody sat down, but this is a great time for, as Judge Linzer said, stories and meeting old friends and renewing acquaintances. I want to give my congratulations to our inductees, Lynette Clark-Brown, Patrick Creighton, Daryl Richardson, and Stephanie Bontrager-Yunker. Today really is a celebration of the rich athletic tradition here at Northwestern. Each of these individuals has left a mark on the history of the university, not only through their athletic excellence, but through positively impacting the lives of their classmates and teammates. Today marks a great opportunity to celebrate our past while at the same time looking forward to the future. The past few months have really been a time of significant change in athletics here at Northwestern. And that's been headlined by our acceptance into the NCAA Division II membership process. A change of that magnitude always presents some challenges, but the opportunities presented by this move to the university, to our student athletes, and to our fans have been many. The decision to join the NCAA has allowed us to associate with the most recognized brand in college athletics. Our association positioned us to accept membership in the Great American Conference, which has allowed us to gain security in scheduling, particularly in football, and the opportunity to renew traditional rivalries. Anyone in Percival Fieldhouse 2 weekends ago, when we played Southwestern, experienced the excitement of renewing these rivalries. But first and foremost, the NCAA, through its commitment to the personal well-being and academic growth of each competitor, is the best option for our student athletes. The interest of our students will always come first. While we have changed associations and conferences, our ideals remain the same. We continue to recruit men and women of great character, strive for athletic and academic excellence, and be great representatives of Northwestern. These ideals and the pride that comes from wearing a red and black uniform will never change. We are grateful to the groups and individuals who have supported our young men and women through financial support of our athletic programs. We've made great improvements to our facilities and made the experience of being a Ranger athlete a better one. I want to once again congratulate our 4 inductees. Congratulations to our alumni inductees for their contributions to Northwestern. Enjoy this day and ride, Rangers, ride.
One of the paramount forces in the changes being made here at Northwestern is the athletic director. And at this time, Andy, I recognize you for certain acknowledgments and certain introductions that you will make. Andy Carter, athletic director of Northwestern. We couldn't get you any farther from the microphone to start with.
Okay, thank you and welcome today. I get the privilege of recognizing some fairly significant people here at Northwestern. First of all, I'd like to recognize the members of the Hall of Fame committee that kind of make this happen. You've already met Judge Dean Linder, Wayne Lane, who gave our invocation, Ryan Kaiser, Associate Athletic Director, Elizabeth Ritchie, to my right, who really is the glue for the committee. She makes sure that a lot of this setup gets taken care of, and myself. And these people are wonderful to work with. And one of the things that I've noticed in the last 2 years is that we are not soon to run out of people to recognize at this event. That this is a long tradition and history of athletic success. Would also like to introduce some of our university administration who are here. Obviously, you've already met Dr. Cunningham, Dr. Steve Lohman, Executive Vice President, David Hakey, Vice President for Administration, Brad Franz, Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, Dr. Bo Hannaford, Dean of School of Professional Studies, Steve Valencia, Associate Vice President for University Relations, and Myra Davison, Administrative Assistant to the President. Also have some athletic staff members here, some who are about ready to go into conniption because they got basketball games and they're sitting at a banquet. Andrew Brown, our head men's basketball coach, Eric Bozeman, our head women's basketball coach, Steve Salino, head athletic trainer, is here with the bow tie today. Good looking, Steve. Lisa Franz normally would be here, but she's ill today. Rod Gorley, our head golf coach, Rod is here. Alan Hall, our head football coach. Caitlin Hansen, our cheerleading coach. Shane Hansen, Director of the Wellness Center. Brian Holmgren, Director of Athletic Communication. Cody Hooper, our head softball coach, I believe is here. Wendy McManus, Assistant Director of Athletics for Compliance. Chandler Mead, Dr. Mead is here, is the Health and Sports Science Education Chair. And Casey Zipton, our Assistant Athletic Trainer. These people work very, very hard on behalf of our student athletes, and I for one, am very proud to have them on our team. And lastly, just a few people to recognize as they are the sponsors of this luncheon. We have the banner over here to our right. Representing Alva State Bank is Jerry and Connie Garrison, right here. Representing Bank Central National Association, Dwight and Sherry Pfeiffer. And representing Community Bank, Ron and Myra Davison. Have a great time. Congratulations to all of our inductees.
We would be remiss if we also did not recognize someone in the audience who is here in lots of different capacities, but I will recognize him in the capacity of being a regent of the Regional University System of Oklahoma. It's nice to have a regent who is an alum of your institution, treats us very, very well. Can't think of anybody more supportive, Regent Mike Mitchell.
We've heard about her. You're going to see and hear from her now, the lady who was explain to you as the glue. She's a lot more than that. She is the soft, warm touch that holds us all together as this process is planned and as it comes together. Liz Ritchie has certain introductions she'll make now.
We have some alumni board members with us today, all seated right back here. Dick Fenton, Brian Hintergart, Troy Smith, and David Taylor. And foundation trustees are Stuart Arthurs and Thelma Crouch. And then our foundation alumni staff, we have Kelly Burgraff, office manager. Delana Hansel is our financial manager. Susan Holliday is relationship manager. Marika Davey is our communications and marketing manager. And Skeeter Bird is our CEO.
I have so many lists up here, and I've made so many additions after I got here. I'm not certain that I can get through all of them, but I want you, if you were so inclined, and I'm sure you will be, to honor past inductees who are here at this time. It's my understanding, you've already met Stuart Arthurs, but he was from the second class of inductees when the Hall of Fame started in 1993. Stu, you want to stand up? Ladies and gentlemen, this fellow was an All-American football player. He was all-conference in basketball, led the conference in scoring. He was a multi-conference champion in track. He played baseball. He went to class once in a while. He earned a Rotary scholarship to England upon his graduation from Northwestern. He has actively engaged in the practice of law for years, right, Stu? In Cushing, Oklahoma. He was from that second class in 1994. Also, I haven't seen Corinne, but I heard she was going to be here. Corinne all might not have been able to make it. She's the #2 all-time scorer in women's basketball. We had a lady by the name of Alice Bird, who currently occupies the first position, having scored almost 2,200 points in her career. Regent Mitchell, how much that pales in comparison. The men's record was 1,865 points by Commodore. You just didn't feed the ball to him enough or hang him at that level himself, all right? Milburn Barton is here. Coached ladies basketball fairly successfully. Over 400 wins, ladies and gentlemen, as the ladies. Almost a family member, it seems, because we lived across the street from one another for 20 plus years. We raised kids together. His son was the quarterback, my son was the center. His son was the shortstop, and my son was first baseman and a pitcher. But that's not what this guy is known for. This guy, this gentleman, this doctor was head of the Industrial Arts Department for years here at Northwestern. Before he got here, he did a few other things. He was a 5-time state Golden Glove boxing champion. He fought in Chicago. He fought in New York City. The greatest left-handed boxer in the history of the state of Oklahoma. This big, stout guy, originally from Buffalo, Oklahoma, Dr. Jerry Bramble. I haven't seen Jason Bryant. He may be on duty at BJCC, where he is the deputy warden. He was inducted a couple of years ago, the only induction that I have missed since 1993. There was a guy wearing a mask and a lot of white clothing who told me, Judge Linder, just lie still. We'll have this second stint in your heart in just a moment. And that was the day before the induction. The last thing he told me was, this is not a tough man contest, so you keep your butt at home Saturday. Don't go to the induction at Northwestern. And I miss seeing Jason, Brian, and some others come in. I'm going to skip the next one that I had on my list because everybody is special and important, but I have a couple of things I want to say about this individual. Mike Mitchell, haven't known him very long. I knew him when he was about 6'4.5" or 6'5". He had to work. He had to really work at it to weigh 200 pounds. He got a little bit heavier than that and a little bit taller. Grew to 6'7". He's done many things, as you've heard. He's a regent right now. He's one of the best known, most respected attorneys in the entire state of Oklahoma. He came to us from Perryton, Texas, and we try not to hold that against him because he brought a guy the next year by the name of Mike Hargrove, who had a little bit of success here, named to our Hall of Fame and also named as the American League Rookie of the Year in 1974 before he went into managing for 20 plus years. But maybe Mike Mitchell's claim to fame, in my regard at least, in the basketball range, took place in the 68-69 season. Northeastern State of Tahlequah was #1 in the nation. They had a 6'7" postman named Charlie Paul from downtown Detroit, Michigan. He was bad. They had a guy named Charlie Paul at the center. They had Richard Dumas at the forward position. He was about 6'4" and faster than lightning. They came into Percival Fieldhouse. Mike Mitchell scored 26 points, and the Rangers beat the #1 team in the nation by 2 points that night. Mike is still one of the highlights of all time for me in Ranger athletics. I had a chance to visit just a little bit with the next man that I want you to acknowledge. He's the first male basketball player in the history of Northwestern to ever score 1,000 points. That doesn't sound like much, but Jim, were you playing while they still had laces in the basketball? It was a long time ago. Jim Schroeder from Fairview, Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, our first 1,000. And I need to get permission now before I do this. Well, is it all right? The final person that I want to mention to you was inducted in the class of 2006. She has a long title. She has many degrees. She's won many honors. But those of us who know her best and love her the most simply call her Dr. Y. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Yvonne Carmichael. Again, I have to check with the lady next to me, this side and that side, to see for sure what we're going to do next. Let me a long time ago, even for an old guy like me, a long time ago, about 1991 or so, there was hatched an idea on this campus. Randy Smith was the baseball coach, later became athletic director. He decided we needed to do something special, something in addition to what we had been doing. He said, why don't we start a Hall of Fame here at Northwestern? Certain other institutions have them. And it was put together. It was pretty loosely knit at first, or it seemed to me that it was at least. But in 1993, the Hall of Fame for sports at Northwestern was born, and the first induction ceremony took place. I was privileged to have a part in that, and I've been privileged to have a part in every one except 2 years ago. How do you look at an institution that was founded in 1897, an institution that has had thousands of great athletes, male, almost exclusively in the first part of the history, and then the addition of great female athletes since that time. How do you decide who is going to be admitted? Well, the committee was formed and decided that 3 people would be inducted in that first class. That didn't last very long because we had a couple of hundred people that probably were deserving of going in, and so it was resolved that 5 inductees would go in the first class in 1993, and so it was. I've about worn out this folder carrying it around with me because it has the history of every one of those inductions. And I look and I see that the first inductee was a fellow who has a name that nobody would recognize unless they're from Tacoma, Oklahoma. His first name is unknown. His real first name was Fred. He was a great basketball player, and everybody knew him as Dick. Dead-Eye Dick Smith from Tacoma, Oklahoma in the 1930s, 3 times made first team All-American in basketball. The greatest basketball player in the history of Northwestern. He has a couple of great grandsons that have enjoyed a little success lately. One of them played quarterback for Abilene Christian, and the other was a linebacker for Marshall University. Their dad came to us from Purcell and was a great football center for us, but Dead-Eye Dick Smith was the first inductee, and he was joined by Skinner Heifel, Dick Skinner Heifel from Cherokee, Oklahoma. Coached football, basketball, and baseball, and was still playing semi-pro baseball when he was in his early 40s. He was about the toughest old devil that ever lived, and he could play. He played football at Phillips University in England. They hadn't played football there 50 or more, 60 years probably. Dick Heifel coached Northwestern to great successes in all of the sports, football, basketball, track, and baseball probably was his number one love. One of the great athletes that he had was a member of the team that went to the national tournament for the first time on behalf of Northwestern in 1949. The Ranger basketball team made that trip. There was a fellow from Lambert, Oklahoma, who later became one of the best known, most successful girls basketball coaches in the history of Oklahoma. He was a great baseball player. He was a great basketball player. He was an even nicer gentleman than that. His coaching career was primarily in Cherokee, and his name was Lloyd Stout. Along with Lloyd, there was another fellow from Cherokee who coached all of the sports after participating on all of the sports here at Northwestern. Everybody simply knew him as Junior. His real name was Walter. Walter Johnson Jr. was the 4th member of that class to be inducted. And then finally, there was a youngster from Perryton, Texas, who was a Perryton Ranger, became a Northwestern Ranger, and then became a Texas Ranger, where he earned, as I said earlier, Rookie of the Year honors. Folks, there's only one of those. There's only one of those, and he won it in 1974. As an aside, we were playing basketball. I did the radio broadcast for a few years, 28 years in fact. We were playing basketball at Panhandle State, and Mike Hargrove showed up, came in as we were setting up to get ready for the broadcast, and he said, "Dean, I've got some news." He'd been out of school for a couple of years. He said, "I've got some news." And I said, "Well, let me get hooked up here." And he said, it's really kind of important. I said, "Fine, let's talk." He said, "I had just received a call to report to spring training camp with the Texas Rangers." It was his first call-up, and I said, "Sit right there, Mike, do not leave. We are going to talk about this on the air." He said, No, his little squeak. No, no, Dean, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, right, please sit down. So he did, and we talked, and the people in Alva, Northwest Oklahoma, heard it live and direct from that beautiful place called Goodwell, Oklahoma, that Mike Hargrove was going to the bigs, and the rest is history. He's managed 3 or 4 or 5 places. He's one of the great hitters of all time. He has a nickname that will never be forgotten by anybody who saw him play. He was called the human rain delay, because after every pitch, he stepped out of the box, he adjusted the batting glove, always the same way, then he stepped back in. And if they threw him 7 pitches, 7 times he stood out and adjusted that glove. He had a great connection here at Northwestern. He came here and played basketball. Played basketball for 3 years, played baseball for 4 years. He was an all-state defensive back in Texas at Parrott. He wanted to play football. We had a basketball coach at that time who didn't believe in multi-sport athletes, and he told Mike, he said, if you want to play football, that's great, but you will not have a basketball uniform available to you. And Mike Hargrove said, thank you, Coach Covey. I've enjoyed the 3 years. I'll see you around. He played football, and he set a new school record for interceptions the only year he ever played college football. He was a little bit of a competitor. Mike, I think it must go with the territory. It is so damn tough in Perryton, you have to be tough to make it out there. That was the first class that went in, and since that time, ladies and gentlemen, as pointed out by our athletic director, we have had absolutely no problem in finding people that are entitled to induction, and we have 4 of the best we've ever had that are going to be inducted today. Gentlemen, ladies, the rest of the day is going to belong to you, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some things. This is the only opportunity you're going to get to talk via microphone today. I'm going to make a few remarks, and then I'm going to call on each of you in order. And since I have the microphone, I get to decide the order. Do you know why she's in charge? She said, because this is a luncheon. That had completely slipped my mind. And I had it all set up to just zing through this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, will you enjoy yourself as we follow the President and the First Gentleman through the 2 lines? Starting in 1999, there has been selected a recipient of what is called the Hall of Fame Scholarship. With this year's announcement, Elizabeth Ritchie, ladies and gentlemen.
As Judge Linder said, this scholarship was established in 1999 by Dr. Randy and Mitzi Smith. Dr. Smith was instrumental in the establishment of the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame, inducted the first class in 1993. Under his leadership, many others have also contributed to this scholarship in honor of former players, coaches, and physical education instructors. This scholarship honors a Northwestern student athlete who exhibits the highest levels of character, integrity, athletic, and academic excellence. The scholarship is intended to keep alive the spirit of those who have built a tradition of excellence in Ranger athletics. The 2012-13 recipient is Michael Deacon. Michael, if you'll come forward, please. Michael is a sophomore health and sports science education major, comes to Northwestern from Ponca City, and is a member of the cross-country team. Michael is a leader in Fellowship of Christian Athletes, as well as a member of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. According to former coach Shane Hansen, he is a selfless team leader who always looks for ways to help his teammates first. At this time, I would also like to ask Dr. Yvonne Carmichael to come forward. She will present her Faculty Enhancement Award. The award was, the endowment was funded in 2001 by family and friends upon her retirement from Northwestern Oklahoma State University. At that time, University President Tom McDaniel stated, "Dr. Carmichael is one of the finest educators to ever serve the university." This award assists a member of the health and physical education faculty through enhancement in the profession. This year's recipient is Casey Zibton. Casey, if you will come forward, please. Casey is a 2009 graduate of Northwestern and has been assistant athletic trainer since June. She received her Master of Science in Athletic Training from Montana State with her thesis work in concussions. She will use this award for many courses and advanced track seminars at the National Athletic Trainers Association Convention in June. Congratulations, Casey.
You might have thought we'd never get to it, but we're there. There have been 75 individuals inducted into the Northwestern Sports Hall of Fame before today. 75 individuals and one great football team. The 1999 National Championship team was inducted in toto. It was thought by the committee that it was only proper that certain individuals should be considered, and last year 2 members of that team came in, and this year 2 more are going to come in. But first of all, we're going to play a little basketball. We're going to return to those golden years, Coach Milburn Barton. Back about the late 80s, early 90s, Northwestern became a national force at that time, and 2 of the reasons are with us here today. The first was a homegrown product right here in Alva, Oklahoma. She played as a ladybug, and then she became a center and a forward at Northwestern. She was great on the floor as a teammate. And one of the teammates from those years is going to join her as an inductee here today. Our first inductee, Lynette Clark Brown, led the team in scoring as a sophomore. She was an all-conference selection that year. Later, she led the team in both scoring and rebounding. And finally, as a senior, she led the team in steals and blocks. Blocks is easy to understand, but how many centers do you know that lead a team in steals? She was that kind of a competitor. She was that kind of a teammate. The team ended up with a record of 24-7 for senior year. Went to the national tournament for the first time. Ended up ranked number 7 in the nation. That was a long way to go from where we started out, and Lynette was one of the principal reasons for it. She received her degree from Northwestern and then went on to further education. Got a second degree from the University of Central Oklahoma in '95, then got a master's degree from UCO in 2009. She coached basketball, she coached track, she taught computer courses in addition to other things, then later taught English at the Boulevard Academy in Edmond, and currently she serves as assistant principal of Central Middle School in Edmond. She was a great ladybug, she's a great ranger, and now she goes into our Hall of Fame. She, along with husband Jimmy, have 2 children, Brendan and Reagan. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Lynette Clark Brown.
I realized I had to give a speech. So that ended that excitement. So bear with me. It's not one of my strengths, but I am excited to be here. A few things. I tried to sit down and go through. The years here at Northwestern were wonderful years. Met so many friends, my teammates, and you just have a bond that you can't explain. And I'm very fortunate that one of my teammates is being inducted with me, Stephanie. Very excited about that. It makes it so much better. And when I sat down and tried to go over what I could talk about, the memories on the van rides, those long van rides that we went over, and then I realized a lot of things you can't talk about. Those are some things you just kind of have to keep to yourself as those great memories. That's where I will cherish them always. So I'll just kind of go through and just talk about where I came from and thank certain people along the way, and I hope I don't leave anybody out. But I'll start with when I was in junior high, I was to middle school, they call it junior high back in my time. I didn't start playing until I was in 8th grade. And Mike and Rhonda Cook, they were the junior high and high school basketball coaches at that time. Every day I would see them as a 7th grader. You need to be on the basketball court. You're tall. You need to be out there. Every day I've heard that. Finally, my 8th grade year, and I'll be honest, I went out for basketball just so they would stop talking to me about it. You know, so I wanted to thank them. I know they're not here, but Mike and Rhonda Cook, I would not be here if you did not keep pestering me about playing basketball. So thank you to them. And also, as I coached basketball and track, and now I'm an assistant principal and also the site AD at my school, I deal with a lot of athletes. And of course, when I try to teach them the things that I feel like I was taught here through my coach, they look at me and I tell them where I came from and stuff. And I said, back when I played, you know, we played 6-on-6, and the look on their face, they're confused. They have, like some of you, what's 6-on-6? And they don't realize, or they can't figure out, you mean you only dribble to half court and you threw the ball to the other side of the floor? Yes, I did. So I just have to explain to them again that was back in my time. No, I never shot the basketball when I played in high school. So I am very thankful for Coach Barton for believing in me. Didn't know if I could shoot or not, but he trusted that I was a strong player and I wanted to play basketball and I wanted to play at Northwestern. So he brought me here to this wonderful university to be part of this tremendous program. And I thank him for believing in me and teaching me things, not only on the court, but off the court. He was my coach. He cared about athletics. He cared about academics. Your education came first, and there's a reason. So you can be somewhere when you graduate this university. And he was also a mentor and a friend. And I thank him for all those years. Okay, I told Stephanie I wasn't going to cry, but it's coming up. For those 4 years that he stood beside me, good and bad, and stayed on my backside, making me play as hard as I can to be the strong person that I am today. And one of the memories, I'll tell a little bit on myself, I guess. In a basketball game, I had broken my nose, and I wore a mask. And it's not like they have today, the real thin, nice looking ones. I think he found it in the football locker room. I really don't know. It was thick. I couldn't see anything. And I was so frustrated in this game, I just yanked it off and I threw it and didn't realize I could hit him. He got back at me. And the next day we were breaking down film. Had everybody crowd around and we were going over the plays of the game and talking about what we did right, what we did wrong. And he gets to this play, and he was, make sure everybody's watching as I thought I was sprinting down the court in a wide open layup, no one around me, going as hard as I can. And you just see me, and it looks like I'm actually walking as I'm trying to see the ball in the court with this big mask on my face. And not only, he had to make the announcement, of course, no, I don't have this in slow motion. This is real speed. As he rewound it, played it again, and again, and again. So, thank you for those fun times. Again, as I go through and talk about the lessons I learned. I just believe that this university gave me so much in just a character, strength, and I don't believe I would be here or where I am today in my professional life if it wasn't for the things Coach Barton taught me and this university taught me. But I would like to go through and thank some people in my life that kind of went along this journey with me. And my family that's here today, my parents, Kenneth and Donna Clark. You know, you don't realize how much time, effort, finances they put into supporting you as you go through athletics. But now that I'm a parent, and I do that with my kids, I don't know how they did it. You know, you go to games, get home late, get up, go to work, you go to games again, and you get up and go to work the next day. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for your support. I realized how hard it was. And my brother, Brian, his wife Lisa, who could not be here today, and his kids, Trevor and Austin and Taylor. I'm so happy that you can be here and share this moment with me. My niece goes to school here. I'm excited for her. She played soccer and now is going to run cross country. And I hope she enjoys this university and gets as much out of it as I did. So I'm excited for her for the next 2 years here at Northwestern. And of course my mother and father-in-law, Jim and Lavinia Brown, they're here with me. I have to say that my father-in-law is also in the Hall of Fame for coaching women's basketball. So excited for him, proud of him. And I'm glad they could be here with me today. And then my husband, Jimmy Brown, which he did want me to mention to thank Northwestern for meeting him. This is where we met at, and I went to be with him today. So he was supported back here. And then my son, Brendan, my daughter, Reagan, are very involved in sports also. So I'm thrilled to be a part of their lives and that they can see if you work hard, what can come of it. So I'm glad they're here with me today also. I would also like to thank, obviously, the community. Our community is fantastic. They are wonderful supporters. They come to games. They're there. They see you on the street. You know, I told everybody from Allen, it's a small town. Everybody knows you, which is wonderful. They talk to you about things. They communicate. Saw you play last night. Great game, you know. They also point out some things that you didn't do right in the game. But I love Alva. I'm glad I had the opportunity to grow up here, and the community again is so special to me. And I see a lot of you out here and continuing to support Northwestern. I think that is just fabulous. I'd also like to thank, obviously, the Hall of Fame committee for choosing me to be part of this wonderful honor and award. It means so much to me. It means so much to my family. And again, I want to say thank you to Coach Barton for everything that you have taught me. And where I am today, I thank you.
We'll look at page 2 now of that great 4-year period from 89 through 93, because our next inductee came to us all the way up the road at Cherokee, Oklahoma. Steve and Ms. Bontrager, we're pleased that you sent a couple of them, and we've got one of them we're going to talk about right now. Stephanie Bontrager Younger, originally from Cherokee, got a bachelor's degree originally in mathematics. She was a 4-year starter. She left the school with 4 records. They don't all stand now because she had a sister named Kelly that came along and broke one of her records. But one record that probably is never going to be broken, or at least it's problematical. Her senior year, free throw wise, she averaged 93.7% in actual game time free throws. 93.7. There's some free throw shooters here. I don't think you ever came that close, did you, Dr. King? Oh, my. She made 10 out of 10 in one game, so some people have surpassed that, but they've never even come close to breaking the percentage, 93.7. Her highlights, just as her teammates said, were some of the wins that they had and being a part of raising a program from the lower level to the upper echelon. They became a nationally recognized team. They beat the number 2 team in the nation that year at a place called Weatherford. It's pretty hard to beat the Lady Bulldogs, especially at Rankin Williams Fieldhouse, but they did it on their way to the national tournament at a record of 24-7. You know, she was an all-conference player in 92 and 93. She made academic all-district in 91 and 92. She was selected an NAIA All-American Scholar. Coach Barton, you have a couple of pretty great inductees up here that testify to the fact how important academics are if you're going to be successful in athletics and how successful you might be later in life. Two of the greatest examples you've ever provided are here today. She got a master's degree in education from that hated place in Weatherford. She taught math and coached at Clinton Middle School, so there was some pluses to being on campus for a time in Weatherford, Oklahoma. She was named a National Board Certified Teacher in 2007, so education is very, very important to her. You know, in addition to some other things, she found time for some off-court activities as well. She went on stage and was named the Ranger Queen in 1992, in addition to her academics and in addition to her athletics. They now live in Enid, where she is teaching at Enid's Waller Middle School. She's been there, I think, since 2002. She is here with her husband, Lawrence. They have 2 children, Britton and Riley. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the all-time great Lady Rangers. Say hello to Stephanie Bontrager Young.
Their successes and contributions to Northwestern are truly amazing. I remember following Darryl in his 1999 team on their way to the national championship. My sister Kelly, who attended at Northwestern at that time, would call during the games and let me know all the details, if they won, and how things were going. It was such an exciting time for Northwestern and the whole community. And of course, Patrick and his amazing college and professional career with the Cowboys. I remember watching the Cowboys and commenting to my son, who loves football, "Hey, that guy played football at Northwestern." I don't think at the time he truly understood the magnitude of that accomplishment. He was just more impressed that he was on TV. Now, Lynette, I could tell some stories about, but I told her I wouldn't. What happens with the Lady Rangers stays with the Lady Rangers. Seriously, Lynette is one of the most competitive, hardworking, and loyal people I know. Many of you may not know that she was the guard in high school. I mentioned that a little bit. And for you young people, that meant that she didn't ever get to shoot the ball. That means that it took a very, very special person to play at the college level at that time if you were a guard in high school. And you can see by those honors how special she is. Lynette and I had different jobs on the court, but always had the same goals, to work hard and win. I guess one of Brittany Briley's favorite movie quotes describes our competitive attitude. If you ain't first, you're last. Besides basketball being so competitive, Lynette and I had a great time together, sharing the dorm suite and just hanging out. This special friendship led to being bridesmaids at each other's weddings. When I think of my basketball career, I have several people to thank, but only two that made it possible from the beginning: my mom and dad. I want to thank you for the encouragement when I was too shy and not even going to play fifth grade basketball. And thank you for rebounding and watching me shoot in the driveway. Thank you for sending me to camps and driving me to practices. Thank you for yelling at the refs and cheering loudly in the stands. Thank you for the enthusiasm about the wins and the confidence during the losses. Thank you for bragging about my successes and supporting me during my disappointments. Thank you for loving the game almost as much as I do, but most of all, thank you for always being there. I also want to thank my sister Kelly, first for being 6 years younger, so that I didn't have to compete against her 40-foot three-pointers, and also just for being an awesome friend and always supporting me in and out. And I would like to thank my husband Lawrence, most recently for recovering this speech off the computer when I thought I deleted it the other night. I don't know what I did, but it saved under some temp file, and I was a little bit panicked. I think hysterical is a little better word for that. Thank you for being my biggest fan. There was a lot of basketball, and you were there through it all, high school and college, and I will always treasure those memories. And I would just like to thank my family for being here today. My husband Lawrence, my son Britton, my daughter Riley, my mom and dad, Steve and Taylor Bontrager, my sister Kelly and her husband Kai Woods, and my 4-year-old niece. She decided that this seemed a little boring for her, so she's just going to wait and join us at the basketball game. Now, Coach Barton, the person responsible for my career at Northwestern. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me and choosing me to be a part of your Lady Ranger team. That decision has impacted my life in every way, and I wouldn't change it for anything. The memories, friendships, and connections that I made are irreplaceable. I've always admired Coach Barton's way of coaching. He always had a plan, but one of my favorite Coach Barton sayings was, "If we score, that was the play." He was very intense and enthusiastic during practices and games. He had high expectations from every one of us and had a way of getting us to work hard without screaming in our faces. I can only remember the one time that I was so furious at him, and that was when he retired before my sister's senior year. And I honestly don't see how he dealt with a bunch of moody girls every day. I guess he got even with us by making us eat at McDonald's every road trip. Sometimes 2 or 3 times in one day. We had to beg just to eat at Taco Bell. So, Brittany Briley, that's why we never eat at McDonald's. My freshman year, I had the privilege of playing with Donita Drain, who I had watched while in high school and was truly amazed by her unique hook shot. Donita, being a senior, helped me to adjust to college ball and gave me confidence every game. Ava Keeney was another older player who I loved playing with that year. I remember just being 18 and thinking, I can't believe she's so old. I think she was like 32 or something. Her work ethic and commitment inspired us every day. Highlights from that year include beating Southwestern on our home court. I quickly learned that we really don't like them very much. I also have to say that the band rides were some of the most memorable experiences you travel anywhere from Alva, Oklahoma in a van with 8 to 10 teammates, you learn a lot about each other. And remember, what happens with the Lady Rangers stays with the Lady Rangers. Sophomore year, we had high expectations. Lynette and I had gained a lot of experience, and playing with Alice Bird was going to be so awesome. Alice has to be the most athletic woman that I've ever seen play the game of basketball. When she wanted to, she could rebound the ball on one end, take it the full length of the court, and score on anyone. That's why it was so disappointing when she went down with a knee injury. It was a tough season on the court, and I remember playing several games with only 7 players due to injuries and other circumstances. I would have to say that year I probably learned more about teamwork in the game than the other 3 years altogether. I remember Coach Barton's motto for the year, whatever it takes. It's still one of my favorite quotes. I've used it often while coaching my own teams. Highlights that year included winning the tournament in Los Angeles, and of course the Las Vegas trip, Coach Coonrod driving us down Hollywood Boulevard and Rodeo Drive after sunset. Probably wasn't the smartest thing we decided to do, but definitely worth the experience. I guess the motto, whatever it takes, sank in. We continued to work hard at the end of the season, beating a nationally ranked Phillips team. By the way, Phillips never beat us again during Lynette and I's career. And we all know how much Coach Barton loved Phillips. Junior year brought All-American Alice Bird back healthy, along with transfer point guard Sissy Allen. Most of you know her as Andrea Long. Sissy was one of the most unselfish, competitive, and talented players that I ever played with. We began that year with a 12-0 record, and then we went to Panhandle and met up with a girl named Yellow Peru, I think, and she killed us. That's all I remember about that game, which is probably one of the reasons we got beat. Anyway, after the loss, we were headed to our favorite restaurant, McDonald's, when I saw Coach Barton's tie come flying out the window. He threw it. That is when I discovered how superstitious Coach Barton is. And Coach Barton, this is for you. Lynette and I figured it's the least we could do since we cost you a tie or two. Highlights of that year included the Alice is better than Jackie chant. If anyone attended the Northwestern games, you remember that. And the unforgettable upset on the road against number 2 Southwestern. I just made Brittany and Briley watch that game last week. Briley said, "Mom, you don't have to get so excited. You already won this one." For those of you who don't remember, we were down by 6 with 36 seconds left. I was fouled on a 3-point shot, making it a 4-point play. As Southwestern inbounded the ball, it was tipped, passed to Sissy, who swished the go-ahead 3-pointer. We won. It was the most amazing 5 seconds of my basketball career. Another highlight that year was becoming the first Northwestern women's team to play in a national tournament. We won the first game and barely lost to the runner-up Wayland Baptist in the second round. We were that close, and it was truly amazing. Senior year was an exciting, special time. Being nominated for and elected Ranger Queen by my friends and peers is one of my most memorable experiences. Basketball season also had several highlights. I remember guarding WNBA future star Crystal Robinson of Southwestern, who we beat twice that year. I remember the day Coach Barton told me I was leading the nation in free throw percentage. I think there was like a week or so left in the season, and guess what? I missed 2 of the 5 free throws during that week. Overall, it was a very successful year, but we fell short on returning to the national tournament. For Lynette and I, basketball was over. Actually, that was 20 years ago this month. And I think it is so cool that Lynette and I began our career together at Northwestern. And so after 20 years, I can't think of a better way to experience today than to share it with her. I also want to mention a couple of other teammates and coaches, and thank all of my teammates and coaches that were a big part of my time at Northwestern. Shannon Booyer, Amber Nelson, Leandra Galindo, Rochelle Scales, Netta Begay, Carrie Miller, Angie Bott, Amanda Hopkins, Coach Brandon Long, Coach Steve Winter, Coach Don Edmondson, and special thanks to Coach Larry Coonrod, who was so persistent in recruiting me to be a Lady Ranger. And I would like to leave you all with one thought. People may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you, Northwestern. What a feeling.
talking way too much and got confused about several things. But I heard so many stories. I'll share one of them as I start this on our third inductee, the first football player today. It has to do with something that happened the day that the commitment was made by our inductees to come to Northwestern. He's from Jackson, Mississippi. He played on a junior college team that was 2-time state champions in the junior college ranks in Mississippi. He was ticketed to go north and east from Jackson. He was going to Syracuse, New York. He was going to play Division I football at Syracuse University. He was intercepted. Aaron Higgins had a little bit to do with it. He might not have been at the airport, but he already has his bags packed to go to New York when Aaron talked him into at least taking a look at Northwestern. Lo and behold, he showed up here. And the rest is a lot of the rest. In 1998, he was the second team All-American. Northwestern led the nation in defense in college that year. He was a linebacker. He came back the next year. Northwestern had dropped a little bit as a team. They were only number 2 in the nation in defense, but that didn't hurt anything else because they won every game. They had beaten a team at the Wheat Bowl in '98, and this inductee was the most valuable defensive player in that game. It was a different stage, a different place, a different time, and a different result the next time he played in a big, big time game. The national championship game was won by Northwestern Oklahoma State University. They were national champions, and our inductee was the most valuable defensive player in that national championship game. He was fierce, he was tough, he was fast, and he was a great teammate. He was the captain of the '99 team. You want to know something special about him? All of those honors, a JUCO All-American, 2-time state champion in Mississippi, most valuable player in 2 bowl games. The highlight of his career was being a teammate of the team that won that national championship game. During his career as a linebacker here at Northwestern, he had 172 tackles. He collected 12 sacks, recovered 6 fumbles, intercepted 2 passes, and as a linebacker, scored 2 touchdowns. He was a complete package. He didn't leave Alva when he graduated. He stayed and coached here 2 years, coached linebackers and defensive ends. Then he spent some time in the Arena League, played 3 or 4 years of Arena League football before he went back to Jackson, where he lives now. He's a firefighter. Does that tell you something about his competitive nature? Does that tell you something about how he cares about people? Does that tell you something about what it is to be part of a team? Huh. I think so. I walked in here today and I saw a young man in a tan jacket seated at this table. And I thought, my land, I believe Darrell has really aged well. He doesn't look old enough to have been an All-American first team in 1999. It was his son. And I mentioned something to him, and he said, every once in a while, Dad says, I'm adopted. And I said, don't believe him, son. Do not believe him. No. It's the same bone. You belong right where you are, and it's beside that great former Ranger football player. He has 4 children. One of them with us here today. John Terrio, Jasmine, Darrell, and Keegan are the sons. But but there is only one. There is only one Darrell Richardson Sr. There is only one great linebacker who captained the national championship football team, and this is he, Darrell Richardson. Darrell.
First, give another guy. If not for him, this day wouldn't be possible. To President Dr. Cunningham, Hall of Fame Committee, faculty, staff, and visitors, I'm truly honored today, and I'm blessed to be back where it all started for me. I'd like to thank Judge Dunder for a very kind introduction this time. A couple of years ago, it wasn't as nice. Made me feel like Ava Keenan. Hope she gets well. But and it's truly an honor to be back and be up here with the rest of these inductees. I can't say enough. If I deviate from my speech, forgive me, I'm gonna jump back on track. But I want to thank my parents, which they couldn't be here today. They were celebrating their anniversary. I think I'm 22, so it's about 30 years. but they are celebrating their anniversary, and I just want to thank them. Like I said, I want to thank my son. There was a time I had left, when I left home, he was still trying to find his way with the sports thing, and so me leaving and coming here, is a result that it did not go in vain, all right? So, but I want to thank them. My father instilled in me a very strong work ethic, which I took to the football field with me every day. My mother, she kept me lifted in prayer. I guess she figured I really, really needed it. And I would remember as a young boy, she would always say, "Son, make me proud, make mama proud." Okay, mama, granted, I didn't always do that. I kind of rebelled, but I think this day kind of makes up for the times that I did. So I want to thank them, and I got this speech, I was kind of nervous about it, but every man, person for me, has a journey that he must walk in life, and that journey, it's you got your highs and lows, like for me, coming here was walking by faith and not by sight, because, let's be honest, how many of us will travel 12 hours, go to a school you never heard of, So that right there was a walk by faith, and I could have went to a few other schools. Coach Higgins, he won't believe that, but I could have. I still had that option, Coach Higgins. But I like to say with the insight and the persistent recruitment of Coach Higgins, the groundwork that I feel that Coach Loman laid prior to me getting here, he passed that on to Coach Allen, and the intense coaching from Coach Meade, who told me, it's funny, Coach Meade told me, I think I had just arrived here, and we sat and talked about an hour, maybe two, that night, and he told me, he said, you'll be an All-American. But Coach Meade, you didn't tell me I'd be in the Hall of Fame, though. But I'll give you a pass. But, and then, Coach Hobb, who's a former player of Coach Meade's, he helped polish that pursuit to a national championship, and it was a very, very overwhelming feeling, and I was grateful to be a part of that team. grateful to be a captain of the team. You know, I think being a captain, being a leader, it has a lot of responsibilities. And I can honestly say the team that I was a part of, I always tried to lead by example. So now all my examples weren't good, but I did try. I did lead by example. I didn't let Coach Higgins down. And you know, the thing about it is, now, Coach Barton, he and I had bumped heads a while back, and I'm gonna tell you a story. Coach Meade was getting ready to leave, and I was, you know, I'm like, man, yeah, I'm thinking about getting out of here too, Coach. And so I think I had went home fall break, and you know, Coach Meade was it for me. You know, what you see here today is a reflection of his work. You know, and I have to credit him. You know, Coach Meade said, "Darren, could have done this anywhere." And you know, I'm not saying I could have and I couldn't, but I did it here. You know, and like I said, the intense coaching, he paid attention to details, and so you know, he's a big part of me being here today. And like I said, Coach Higgins is as well, because like I said, he was calling my phone. Oh God. Ooh. But anyway, that's another story. But where was I? I was having a BC moment. Coach Bart, yeah, I had put in, when Coach Meade said he was going to step down, I didn't know who was going to be the next D coordinator. I said, man, you know, like I said, I was comfortable with Coach Meade, and, you know, I felt who could come in here and replace him, you know. But, so I thought about transfer, and so I went home, talked to a coach back home, and he was like, yeah, sure, I would love to have it. You know, and so he did the paperwork and whatnot, and I came back after fall break. Coach Barton ran across me in the gym and said, hey, I'm not signing those papers. So, you know, I have to thank Coach Barton, because apparently he saw something that I didn't at that particular time. So, Coach Barton, thank you. And so, let me get back to my speech. But you know, let me say this, like many strong-minded young athletes, you know, highly talented, you know, for me, I paid more attention to my football talent and less attention to my academics. And, you know, I was still recruited by a lot of schools, but by me not doing both, you know, it kind of cut my choices down, Coach Higgins. You know, I still had scholarships to Notre Dame, Stanford, and Harvard. But, you know, let me say this university gave me a chance to do a lot of things that many college athletes can only dream of. I mean, it really did. Okay. Jumped off again. Give me a minute. I'm coming right back. I mean, it did. They gave me an opportunity to not only play football. I was just so thankful. Coach Higgins, you know, he was big on graduating, you know, and I mean, as we know that a lot of football players, you know, don't graduate for many reasons, you know, and so he was adamant about me getting my degree, and I was thankful for that, and so I got that. I mean, you know, a lot of people probably, you know, need that accomplishment, and you know, I want to thank Doc Kennedy. You know, I spent a lot of time in his house. Feed me, you know, so when I came back, I forgot that he had moved. And so I was looking to come home. But I wasn't going to drive an extra hour to go. So he took care of me. I would go see him periodically, you know, to get adjustments and things of that nature. And so I got to thank him for that, and it's just been, you know, it's been a treat to be able to be back for this wonderful occasion. And you know, I was also fortunate enough to have an All-American defensive lineman from me by the name of Dustin Lovelace, and an All-American academic safety by the name of Lynn Scott. But most important, you know, I had a black cloud surrounding me, better known as the black cloud defense. And I can say this, you know, make no mistakes about it, that the success that I was able to obtain, you know, was measured by the effort that we gave each and every day on the football field, each and every day, you know. And so I'm thankful for that. And so, you know, I look back on my career here, and you know, it's, like I said, many things, it's just priceless, you know. It's priceless, you know, being able to, I mean, you know, like they say, you know, things that took place on the basketball court, it's going to stay. There's a lot of things that took place on the football field, it's going to stay, you know. I can sit up here and tell you, you know, Coach, he beep, 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 beep. It was a lot of that. I would say, you know, it's funny because Coach, I remember Coach Al, Coach Higgins and Coach Hobbs, you know, talking about a student, about a player, and they was like, hey, Coach Hobbs, Troy, wait a minute, we're gonna put this kid in this deal here. I'm like, deal? No, class, I mean class. We're gonna put him in this deal. And so Coach Hobbs was like, Coach Higgins, you probably don't remember this here, but we had so much going on. So he was like, no, we're gonna put him in this deal. And so Hobbs said, Gary, how are we gonna put him in, I think it was a Spanish class. How are we gonna put him in a Spanish class when he barely passed English? But those weren't the words that he used. But you know, but I will say this here now. In closing, I can't say enough of how grateful I am for this university to invest in me as a student athlete, and for this community accepting me as one of their own. Thank you very much.
I don't know why this microphone is so high. Oh, there we are. Thank you, Daryl, for leaving it here. Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth inductee, and it's a trite phrase to say, you know, he needs no introduction because he's going to get one anyway, all right? He came to Northwestern from DeSoto, Texas. He came here without a scholarship. He came here as a walk-on defensive back. Let me tell you what the coaching staff realized. They realized that they had a diamond in the rough at the very least. Maybe it was a diamond in the rough that had a platinum band ready to put around it, because this guy found what he was looking for in football, and hopefully he found what he was looking for here in life, because he made some lifelong friends while he was here. He's only the second Ranger in the history of Ranger football that was ever named 4 times an All-American. We had the first one in here last year. His name was Lynn Scott, 4-time All-American from the big city of Turpin, Oklahoma. This guy came from a bigger place than that, from DeSoto, but he's a 4-time All-American. He did something that nobody else has done, to my knowledge, in the history of NAIA football. During his senior season, he produced touchdowns 5 different ways. He ran for at least 1 touchdown. He threw for at least 1 touchdown. He had receptions for at least 1 touchdown. He had kickoff returns for at least 1 touchdown, and he had punt returns for 1 touchdown, all in a single year. It's never happened before, it hasn't happened since. He was a great return man, but as you heard, he threw a touchdown pass as well. He was an outstanding quarterback. Threw for well over 1,000 yards while he was playing at the quarterback position. But his main forte was when he took that ball out of the air and had a chance to look upfield and see there was no hole, but he found one anyway. He went to the inside, he went to the outside, he high-stepped and he ran like blazes, touchdown after touchdown. He was a member of that 99 national championship team. He was just a pup then. He became the star later on, and he proved it time and time again. The Rangers played in Nebraska, and I believe that it was in Sioux Falls. It was in 2003, and it was the national semifinals. Do you know what Patrick's all-time favorite memory as a Ranger athlete is? It was the last second field goal that was kicked that day that let the Rangers win. A lot of people might know that story. But let me share with you a story I bet you don't know. Patrick Creighton was selected as the outstanding, most valuable player of the game. And at midfield, he was handed the trophy, most valuable player. And he immediately walked a short distance to the field goal kicker and gave him the trophy. That's what teammates do. That's what leaders do. That's what winners do. That's what Rangers do. He had a great career at Northwestern. He had an equally great career as he stopped off at Dallas, where that big star on his helmet. He was a great return man for them. He was a great possession receiver who could score touchdowns as well. He was drafted in the 7th round, and he spent from 2004 through 2009 with the Cowboys. And some people say they're America's team. Well, for quite a while, I'll guarantee you, they were Northwestern's team too, because we had Lynn and we had Patrick. And they just belonged to us for a while. They might not have known it. I think they cared. They might not have known it, but they were our team. Patrick went on to San Diego. You know, he had 3,650 yards as a receiver. He caught 25 touchdown passes in the NFL. 25 NFL touchdowns as a receiver. He had 2 punt returns for touchdowns in the NFL. In 2008, he was selected as an outstanding Northwestern graduate. He and his wife, and I asked permission, Patrick, if I could call her Gigi. And she said, yes, Gigi's the name. She has a few more letters in her name. N-A-J-I-Y-Y-A-H, if it's correctly written here. But Gigi is a sweet, sweet name. They live in Louisville, Texas with their children, Patrick Jr., Kennedy, and Preston. But let me tell you, where else he lives and his family lives. And that's in the hearts of Ranger fans everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Patrick Creighton.
Class and in this selective group of always the elder statesman. I would try not to deviate from my speech. And I keep it, so I should not have lapses in my memory. I walk around today and I see so many people, like I say, extended family members of mine, from the time that I spent here in Northwestern. And I am just truly blessed, I would call it. It's more of a blessing than an honor almost, because the relationships I've made and built over the years that I still keep in contact with people. And, you know, just to say hello and see how everything's going. When I got back, it was like nothing had changed. Ms. Crouch came up to me earlier when I was signing at the table, and we were driving in. My wife was like, "Is the lady with the cookies going to be here?" I'm sure she will. So Ms. Crouch is sending me some cookies. Once I get back home, she has the address. I will eat them. I will try to give them to my kids and have them have rotten teeth, but they will have to enjoy those as well. But I sit here and I like to just start off with a bunch of thank yous. I think number one, the Ranger alum. I don't know how many of us in here. I think everybody here, except for the kids, have been here. So it's an honor. I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart to put me into this selected group. I start off with the Rowdy Rangers. Yeah, do you guys ever know anything about the Rowdy Rangers? The group of old guys that sit up on the hill. They have the bus, and it's still black and red. It's still black and red. I don't know what kind of horn this is. What kind of horn is that? It's a train horn. And it will scare you. You've never heard it before, because after every touchdown, they sound it off. And it's pretty loud. So I thank you for intimidating the other team. You made our job on the field so much easier. You really did. I see some of my coaches and players that I played with that are here. I start off by thanking my head coach, Gary Higgins. Excuse me, sorry. You took me in. I'm getting.
It wasn't that good, dude.
My mom than he was me, right? I think to this day you're still scared of her. She couldn't be here. She was under the weather, so she definitely told me to tell you hello, to make sure that she wanted to thank you for taking care of me and making sure I went to class. Because she knew it was time I did not get up out of bed. And he would send some of the GAs over to knock on my door. I believe Uncle's come a couple times. Gary Manuel, Travis Fox has come a couple times to get me out of bed, because there was times I would just deadbolt the door. And they knew they couldn't get in that way. They had a way in Ahmed Hall where you could take your ID card. And if the deadbolt wasn't on, you could basically key somebody's room and get in. That's how a lot of jokes got played on people. So I knew they would do it. I would deadbolt my door so they couldn't do it. And they would just beat till I finally got up. So I thank you for that. You were more of a father figure than you were a coach when I was there. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank a lot of my former teammates that I got to play with, because it was them more than it was me that helped me be able to do what I did on the field. He mentions the kicker, Keith Vermillion, had missed a kick earlier that season. We played West New Mexico. And I was very hot about it, but I wasn't mad at Keith. I was mad because of, I think, the game I had leading up to that we were in that position to even have to put Keith in that position. So he missed the field goal, and I told Coach, I said, I'm not losing anymore this year. I said, that's it. I said, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get to the national championship game. I said, and Keith is going to have to kick a field goal at the end. I told everybody on the team, I said, don't get down on Keith on this. I said, we're going to need him. Pacific Finals from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's about 8 degrees. I don't know how cold it was. He has to kick the field goal in that wind and that swirl, and it hits the uprights. And I'm thinking to myself, not man. But it hit the upright and went in, and it was like history repeating itself. So it was a truly awesome feeling to play with those guys. It was a blessing. It was an honor. It was, I don't know, it's beyond words. It's beyond words. Because a lot of those guys I still talk to sometimes just to say hello. A lot of them have moved on. They have their own families and they're doing their own things. We're scattered out around the country. And a lot of them have gone back home because you always go back home. Like I said today, it feels like I come back home. So I thank my teammates for that. I thank my wife and kids for just being my rock, always being there, taking care of me. Through everything, you know, it's been a wonderful 9 years that we've been together, and we've been married 5 years. 2 beautiful knuckleheads. I don't call them kids knuckleheads because they're mine, and they're like, yeah, it's knucklehead action all day long. But I just thank you guys for always being my inspiration. I get up in the morning, keep moving every day. To look in your faces, I know I'm trying to leave a legacy for you guys. So I thank you guys for being my inspiration. I'd like to thank my agent is here, Fred Lyles, for believing in me. Small town, small city, Al Oklahoma, from small school. He had Brandon Christensen, so he knew a little bit about it. And he believed in me to take a shot on me to achieve the dream. You know, and it's been a wonderful journey, bro. Wonderful journey. And I thank you for being there for me. I thank my brothers. We have a younger brother, my other brother Bradley's over here. And we have another baby brother that's still at home. He's the golden child. He's not here, but my other brother, I thank you guys for, while I was here, knowing that I had to set a good example for you. There was times I know I wasn't able to be at your games when I was here, while you were playing. So I always checked up on you to make sure everything was going well. And you guys indirectly didn't know it, but you pushed me to make sure I stayed on top of my things while I was here at Northwestern. Because I knew I was the first, the first male in my family to get a college degree. And now we have 2. So. Like I said, my mom couldn't be here today. She was under the weather a little bit, but she's just fine. She's a little sick. She called me Wednesday and said she felt like she had some flu symptoms and she had to cough. I felt like the principal or somebody, she was skipping school. So I said, did you practice on the cough before you come? You say so. I'm going to go with it. So she called me yesterday and she said, I'm feeling a little bit better. We might go ahead and make it. And she sends me a text this morning and said, my brother's on his way and he gets here. So he gets here in time. I really thought he was going to be late because that's my brother. But he made it here on time and everything. So my mom was a strong black woman. And she raised 3 boys by herself. We had help. Because like they said, it takes a village to raise kids. So we had help with my best friends here and his mom and dad, or like my other mom and dad. So she was strong, and she always stayed on top of us to make sure we worked hard. Because she said that you got to keep working hard because no one's going to ever keep you. Nothing in life is fair. And when you don't have things, no one else is going to carry it all, so you have to take care of yourself and make sure you're prepared for whatever situation that comes. You have to stay the course instead. So that's why I say Coach Higgins is still scared of her to this day. Because she told Coach Higgins to make sure he has his blood in class. Make sure he just get on the field. Make sure he stays with his work and everything. He doesn't get in any trouble. So Coach Higgins was successful in that. I think when I graduated, I think he breathed a sigh of relief. What you got, pop champagne, Higgins? Because I'm sure he was glad that I would like to say I contributed to the great in his year. I'm proud that you're distinguished. But my mom was a strong woman, and she really took care of us. Like I said, and my brother, first female in our family, that's great. She's successful. I'm successful because she's successful. I like to just say, in closing, when my time has come, and all is said, I'm going to stay very black. Black.
Don't you have just a pang of sorrow for the people that have not been exposed to the values that are available to you as a member of a sports team, as a member of classes that go to a school at a place such as Northwestern Oklahoma State University, that they don't know these inductees and these inductees as we know them, share their lives as we've been allowed to share them. Thank you all so very much for being here, what you've done in the past and what you're going to do in the future. I have on my left wrist something that the 4 of you are going to have duplicates of. If you look in those boxes, you haven't peeked already, have you? Look in those boxes, you're going to find the official Hall of Fame watch that is yours to take from this luncheon and keep with you the rest of your lives if you so desire. In front of you is something that you're only going to possess temporarily. That's the plaque. We're going to give them to you permanently at half court at the basketball game. You look at them, you can put some fingerprints on them if you want to, but we're going to take them back in just a little bit to give them to you again. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2013. If you got brief information about these individuals, we'll start on this end. One of the greatest basketball and baseball players that Northwestern ever had. He became a great high school coach. Originally from Lambert, he coached at Cherokee, had great success there. Ladies and gentlemen, Lloyd Stout. Take a look just below the Gambino's pizza sign, and you'll see NAIA District Champs 80-81 with a record of 24-2. Here's one of the principal reasons for that 24-2 record. Paula Stout Crandall. Of lesser importance perhaps, but nonetheless deserving of a mention, a coach who won 400+ games as the women's coach here at Northwestern, Milburn Barton. The first Ranger men's basketball player who ever scored 1,000 points. He came to us from Fairview, that's home for it now, Jim Schrader, ladies and gentlemen. Buffalo, Oklahoma sent us our next inductee. He was head of the Industrial Arts Department here for years, but his first claims to fame came in the boxing ring. He's the greatest left-handed boxer in the history of the state of Oklahoma. 5 times he was state Golden Gloves champion. He fought for the national championship in Chicago. to the national championship in New York City, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jerry Brownrigg. Before the ascension of our current president here at Northwestern, the queen of Northwestern was this next lady, a lady for whom the swimming portion of the Wellness Center is named. She literally is the queen of health and physical education concerns here at Northwestern, has been for years. Those of us who know her best and love her the most simply call her Dr. Y. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Yvonne Carmichael. Let me direct your attention again to the north end zone here, if you will. NAIA football national champions, 1999. Who was the quarterback of that team? Who was one of the greatest offensive weapons we've ever had at Northwestern? Well, a guy from Honea Path, South Carolina, who is seated right here, the one and only Al Hunt, ladies and gentlemen. I don't mean to demean anyone, but perhaps the greatest scholar athlete to ever attend Northwestern. He was an All-American football halfback. He was all-conference and the leading scorer in the conference in basketball. He won at least 6 conference championships in track. He lettered in baseball, and he was a Rotary Scholar upon graduation from Northwestern, pursued and gained a law degree and has practiced law for years in Cushing. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Stuart Arthur. Some of us have sand rat roots. That's a derisive name that Alva people have given to folks from Winoka. I'm from Winoka. Our next inductee is from Winoka, a name that is famous throughout this part of the state for sports, a name of Miller. He had some kinfolks that played here at Northwestern, and so he came here. He came here and became one of the greatest all-around basketball players, both offensively and defensively, that we have ever had. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Dustin Miller. I'm going to skip one fella. He's kind of hard for me to see anyway. I'm going to come to this end. I've had the great privilege to be the MC at 20 of the 21 Hall of Fames. I missed one a couple of years ago because a cardiologist told me I needed to stay in bed, and so I did. I wasn't here, and I missed the opportunity to help induct one of the great favorites that Northwestern has had in their not in this basketball gym. He's been known as a favorite, but the football field. He holds a record that will never be broken as a football player at Northwestern. How can that be? He caught a touchdown pass for 99 yards. He caught lots of touchdown passes. He was the leading receiver in the history of the school. When he left here, I'm afraid, Jason, that your record may have been broken, but they haven't topped that 99 yards, and they never will. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the finest people and best football players we've ever had. Say hello to Jason Bryant. It was sometime not long after electricity was invented. Northeastern of Tahlequah was #1 ranked in the nation. They had a 6'7" postman from Detroit named Charlie Paul. He was poison. They had a swingman named Richard Dumas. You may have heard of his son who played briefly at OSU and briefly in the NBA. Those two guys were at Northeastern at the same time. They were #1 ranked in the nation. Our next inductee, who came here from someplace in the panhandle of Texas. I always have trouble remembering that name. Help me, help me. Perryton. Who could ever forget him? From Perryton, Texas. He came here a year before Mike Hargrove, the great baseball player, but he goes by the same first name. Northeastern was here, #1 in the nation. This young man, he was then, scored 26 points, and Northwestern beat Northeastern by 2 points. He went ahead with other successes, including graduating from the University of Oklahoma College of Law. He's been in practice for a long time. Along the way, he picked up a pretty important position as far as Northwestern is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a member of the Board of Regents, and his name is Mike Mitchell. These are the athletes who are former inductees. I'm the throw-in, non-athlete. I broadcast games here for 28 years, made dear friends, had great memories, and it's a thrill to be here with the people that I admire the most. We thank you very much for being here. And during the men's game, we're going to induct 4 new inductees, 2 women basketball players, and 2 of the greatest football players that have ever stepped on anybody's football field. We'll see you during the men's game. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. Today is a special day in Ranger Athletics. It's the 21st induction ceremony for Northwestern Sports Hall of Fame. As we start these proceedings, there are 75 individual members of that Hall of Fame, plus the 1999 National Football Championship team as a group is in that Hall of Fame. We're going to add 2 great lady basketball players. We're going to add 2 of the best football players that have ever been on this campus, and we'll proceed with that process at this time. Our first inductee was raised right here in Alva, Oklahoma. She was a ladybug, and she played 6-on-6 basketball in high school. She made the move to Northwestern, where she became a starting forward and a starting center. She was an outstanding player on the college level, as she had been in high school. After she completed her degrees here at Northwestern, she went ahead to pick up 1 other bachelor's degree and then picked up a master's degree as well. Teaching has become her vocation. When she left Northwestern, she was the #3 all-time female basketball scorer. Lynette, there have been a couple of others come along since then, but she's still currently #6 in the entire history of women's basketball here at Northwestern. She's not just a great basketball player, she's not just a great mother and a great teacher, but she is a sweetheart of a person as well, one of the great personalities in the history of Northwestern basketball. She and her husband Jimmy have 2 children, Brendan and Reagan. She now serves as assistant principal of Central Middle School in Edmond, Oklahoma. We knew her originally as Lynette Clark, her name now Lynette Clark Brown, ladies and gentlemen, a great lady ranger. Teammate, not only in the Hall of Fame, but as former Ranger players as well. This young lady came to us from Cherokee, Oklahoma, one of 2 Bontrager girls that played basketball here at Northwestern. Lynette and Stephanie were here when some things were added record-wise. Northwestern rose to number 7 in the nation with their women's basketball team. They went 24-7 one year. They beat the number 2 team in the nation, Southwestern State. A wonderful team indeed. Stephanie has one record that we don't know if it'll ever be broken or not. She had a record that was surpassed. It was surpassed by her sister. That was 7 steals in a single game. That record went by the wayside. This one still stands after 20 years. Her senior year from the free throw line, 93.7% of her free throws went down. 93.7%. She could play indeed. That win against Southwestern was helped just a little bit late in the game with about 30 seconds or so to go. She was fouled as she put up a three-pointer. It went in. She hit the free throw. They were within a point. They got the ball stolen away, and a bucket at the buzzer sealed the win. A 4-pointer in the last few seconds. How could you top that? Well, you could be named homecoming queen. You could be named a national NAIA scholar athlete. Those are a couple of things that she picked up along the way. She was an NA All-American Scholar Athlete. She was the OIC Scholar Athlete of the Year. She received the Outstanding Senior Northwestern Oklahoma State Award in calendar year 1993. Now, she too has had additional education honors added to her name. In addition to that, she was recently named a National Board Certified Teacher in the state of Oklahoma. Education is important, and she exemplifies what you can do if you just try hard enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Bontrager-Youngker. Well, we've seen the beauties, we've seen the brains, and I'm not going to cast any aspersions, but right now, we're going to change gender, and we're going to change sports, and you're going to see 2 of the greatest that ever stepped on a field in this area. The first one came to us from Mississippi. He spent 2 years as an outstanding JUCO player. His JUCO team won the Mississippi State Championship 2 years in a row. He was ticketed for a number of schools. In fact, probably had a ticket in his pocket at one time to fly to Syracuse, New York to play for the Orangemen in Division I. There's a guy here in a white jacket right up there. Garrett Higgins, raise your hand. Coach Higgins got on the phone, got person to person, and you know where the guy played his last 2 years? Right here at Northwestern. He only made second-team All-American his first year. He was the most valuable defensive player in the Wheat Bowl that the Rangers won. The Rangers had the #1 defense in the nation that year. He came back for the senior season after being tempted to leave. He made first-team All-American. You take a look on the wall and you see national champions 1999. Here is the most valuable player defensively in that game. stayed here at Northwestern for 2 years and coached defensive ends and linebackers. He then played several years of Arena League football and decided, well, wait, maybe there's something else to life. He became a firefighter. He lives in Jackson, Mississippi. He has 4 children, Ontario, Jasmine, Daryl, and Keegan. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had some great ones here. Most people say this is the best linebacker that ever played at Northwestern. His name is Daryl Richardson, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I've been accused of having a great imagination, that I might make up stories from time to time. I can't top the truth about our next inductee. Only 2 players in the history of Northwestern football have been named 4-time All-Americans. We had one of them at center circle a year or so ago from Turpin, Oklahoma. He spent some time with the Dallas Cowboys, Lynn Scott. Well, say hello to another 4-time All-American football player. Another guy that wore that silver star on his helmet and spent some great years with the Dallas Cowboys. He came from DeSoto, Texas. You talk about coaches that know what they're doing. He walked on to the Northwestern campus to play defensive back. Walked on. It didn't take long for them to find out they had something a little more in mind than that. He was a great wide receiver. He was a very fine quarterback. He was a great kickoff return man, but he was an unbelievable punt returner as well. He's the only person in NAIA history in a single season to score touchdowns 5 different ways. He ran for 1 touchdown. He passed for 1 touchdown. He ran a kickoff back. He ran a punt back. What else did he do? I really don't know, but he scored 5 different ways in 1 season. As a passer, as a rusher, as a receiver, as a punt returner, and as a kickoff return man, he scored 46 touchdowns as a Northwestern Ranger. 21 of them his senior year alone. He was a great receiver. He had great hands. Some people say he was a possession receiver, but I can tell you, he gained 3,650 yards as a receiver. He made 25 touchdown catches in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. He returned 2 punts for kickoffs as well. There may be another one like him, but if so, he's sure been hiding from me for a long time. He finished up his career with the Cowboys, then moved to the San Diego Chargers. He is here today with his wife, and I've been allowed permission to call her Gigi. That's a special nickname. Gigi, and along with Patrick Jr., Kennedy, and Preston, accompany the one and only Patrick Creighton, ladies and gentlemen. many of you have been a part of history, but you are today, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, there have been 75 previous inductees plus the 99 national championship team. Now, there is numbers 76, 7, 8, and 9 in the power vested in me by the university. I hereby declare these 4 people to be properly elected and properly inducted, and they are now members of the Northwestern Sports Hall of Fame.